Good morning, and welcome back to the Haven Financial Group radio show. I'm Larry Colvig, founder and CEO of the Haven Financial Group. On with Carrie Renner with Provision Law Firm, our partner in all these estate planning topics that we're talking about, Kim, today. You know, listeners, if this is ringing a bell or hitting a nerve and you're thinking, man, we really need to do this, or why haven't we done, or maybe our stuff is outdated, what a better time to call 612-504-8400 or visit us at havenfinancialgroup.com. We have great classes. Carrie and I just put on a wills, trust, and legacy planning workshop here a couple weeks ago at the Ames Center here in Burnsville. Extremely well attended. You can go to our site and see maybe upcoming classes and other classes that we're going to have. So no better time than now.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit more here about what we were chatting about just before we went to the break, and that being beneficiaries and why it's so important to name those individuals, but how this could be something that changes as life ebbs and flows. So, Carrie, the first thing I think that it's imperative to talk about is, you know, if you would pass away and there are no beneficiaries, what happens to your estate?
Sure. If you die without any beneficiary, then that asset is going to be subject to your will. Or if you have no will, then you are known to have died intestate, meaning I didn't have a will, I didn't have a plan. And so then the state intestacy laws will kick in, and those will determine who inherits that asset, when they get it, how they get it. So you lose a lot of control that way.
Sure. And ultimately, maybe people benefit from your legacy that you weren't intending to have involved.
Absolutely. In the case of a beneficiary that hasn't been updated after a divorce, that's a common example of the wrong person potentially receiving that asset when you die. Right. Another good example is people who are life partners but not legally married to each other and never name each other as beneficiaries on their plans. If they don't have a will that leaves things to each other, the intestacy laws, those default rules, are never going to recognize the relationship that they had with each other. So it's really important to make sure your plan is coordinated.
And Carrie, you know, I think Larry and I talk about this when we're talking about other aspects of retirement. But, you know, the idea of just relying on the fact that, oh, my kids will get along and they'll all split it and there won't be any issues is a big mistake, isn't it?
It's a big mistake. We should learn from all the others who have gone before us. Money, grief, family dynamics. There's so many factors that can play into that. And you may have all very reasonable family members or children with all great ideas. But if those ideas differ from each other and there isn't a set of rules in a will or a trust or another document to dictate how that estate's going to be administered when you die, they're most likely going to run into disagreement at some point, which can really lead to a lot of conflict in a family.
Mm-hmm. I think about in-laws that come into these situations that sometimes can be an issue.
Right. And I think that we're fooling ourselves if we think that we name our kids as beneficiaries and their spouses aren't whispering into their ears. They all have little birdies on their shoulder that are guiding what that dynamic is going to be. And so having a very clear-cut plan that's going to eliminate all that extra chatter is a good thing.
Yeah. So a couple comes in and they sit down with you and they say, we just don't know what to do. And we're trying to figure out how to split this up. How do you walk people through this?
Yeah. That's another great question. We don't know what to do. That's okay. They don't need to know what to do to come and have that consultation with us or with any other attorney who does this for a living. Our job is to listen. They are the experts. We know some things. They know a lot of things. They know the family dynamics. They know what their assets are. They know what their goals are. And so really it starts with listening and not starting with a tool, not starting with, okay, we're here to draft a will or we're here to draft a trust, but really just listening to what their goals are first and then looking at the tools in our tool belt to help them accomplish what they want to accomplish.
Mm-hmm. Carrie, there's no doubt that we have people who are listening right now who maybe have adult children who have special needs and are going to need special care in their lifetime. Can these kinds of things be designated?
I would say that's a red flag or a great opportunity, a key opportunity to be able to do some planning for that loved one. If you leave assets to a person who is receiving some sort of public benefit, there's a high likelihood that they're going to lose that public benefit when they receive that inheritance. And it doesn't have to be that way. There is a way to leave these special needs individuals an inheritance and allow them to keep their public benefits, but that won't happen by accident. That has to happen through planning.
Mm-hmm. Larry, you love to talk about taxes. I think it's one of your favorite subjects. Talk to me a little bit about where a designated beneficiary and taxes, how do they run into each other?
Well, we are coming into tax season, even though we're not talking taxes today, although taxes is related to estate planning. It really, really is. It is tax season, though. Lance is our in-house CPA. He's gearing up. He's excited to do lots of tax returns, making IRS is not going to be the beneficiary of a lot of your hard-earned money that you worked all these years for. So making sure you have the things set up the right way for the estate tax purposes, setting up the right documents. Just this past week, I had somebody in that just lost a loved one, and things were not set up properly. And this is going to be a long, drawn-out process that I'm sure that was not the intention by her late husband in this case, because she had no idea that they had that much over the estate tax, big estate tax bills that are going to come her way. And in this case, not getting the response from the attorney friend of her late husband. So I caution people on getting too, just not paying attention to these details. And especially if you're married, this includes both of you. It should include both of you. And oftentimes one doesn't want to talk about it because it's uncomfortable. A lot of times this is talking about your demise and, what about after we're gone? So all these things are important. I want to point out, and Carrie said it so very, very well. And if you haven't noticed, she's not a stuffy attorney. No offense, attorneys. She's relatable. And why her firm is such a good partner is she truly believes in the educational process as well. And you notice she said the word listening. Listening to that initial meeting, listening to what's important, what their goals are for their family, their aspirations. That's why it's such a good partnership, because we talk every week. That is the way we work at the Haven Financial Group. Mm-hmm. So I encourage, if you're listening, whether you're middle-aged, over the age of 18, because it applies to a lot of legal adults and who's thinking about these things at 18. And Carrie has a great offer for those that graduate from college, which she maybe will mention. No matter what your situation is, you should have some, even if you're married, there's no automatics for spouses. I love to see when people finally get this stuff done. There's a breath of fresh air. There's a smile. We call it their signing ceremony. We finally got this done. And there's something to say about that, because a lot of these people, it's taken a lot of years to do it. So why not put that smile on your face and get this important stuff done?
Mm-hmm. Carrie, do you want to talk a little bit about what you do for college kids?
Yes. So I tell people, if you did estate planning perfectly during your lifetime, you would do it 3 times. When you turn 18, you would put some basic documents in place that are going to allow your parents to still have access to any sort of medical information if need be, and maybe financial information. Then if you start a family, you're probably going to be looking at that again. And when you hit retirement age, it's a good time to talk about all kinds of these financial puzzle pieces, estate planning being one of them. I don't want to say that's a set it and forget it over a lifetime. You really should revisit it every few years. But those are big common milestones to look at estate planning. 18 is a big one. That's graduating from high school for most people, heading off into the next chapter, whether that's college or living on their own. Even if they're living at home, once they turn 18, everything changes. Even if they're still in high school, that day of their 18th birthday is the day they become a legal adult. It's the day mom and dad no longer can make their medical decisions for them, access their medical records. And the worst nightmare for any parent is to get a phone call from the hospital in the college town where their child is in school and say, we've got Johnny here and there was a bad car accident, but we can't tell you anything more. And there they are 4 hours away and you're a panicked parent. Mm-hmm. So there's no reason that we can't set things up for these 18-year-olds heading out into the world. And we do that as a graduation gift for a lot of young people, high school graduation gift, to say, here's some basic information that you need to carry you into this next chapter of your life.
I love that. That's so great. And boy, is that important. That is for sure. All right. We're talking about estate planning, folks, and how it relates to your retirement planning and how important it is in your life. We're looking at all different aspects of this same thing. Coming up next, we are going to talk about tax efficiency, and, some of the issues related to taxes and, estate planning. Really important. The last thing you want to do is leave your loved ones with a great big huge bill. So let's talk about that on the other side. 612-504-8400. That's the number. That's how you reach Haven Financial Group. They can put you in touch with Carrie Renner. She is a partner of the Haven Financial Group and a member of Provision Law Firm. 612-504-8400. You're listening to the Haven Financial Group radio show.